In this tutorial, we will look at setting up ladders and ropes. I've loaded Alien Sample Level 1.3 and added some new geometry. If we go to the scene view, we'll see that this geometry is just some normal platforms, and you'll note that there's no colliders up through the middle here. The ladder at the moment is just some sprites. The first thing we're going to do here to make it a real ladder is to add a 2D box collider. Let's set the size . And now let's change the layer of this to the ladders layer. If we have a look at our character, we'll see that our climbable layer is also set to this ladders layer. Alternatively, you can detect the ladders using a tag, but for the most part it's easier to use layers. If we have a look at our character's movements, we'll see that out of the box the alien character already has a climb movement, which is a digital climb with a speed of 2. So over that again, we have a box collider 2D in the ladders layer. This layer matches our climbable layer, and we have a ladder climbing movement attached to the character. Let's take a look at this. You'll see by pressing up and down we can climb up and down the ladder. One problem you'll notice, if we get to the top of the ladder, we get a strange jerkiness. What we need to do to fix this is to add some pass-through steps to the ladder. Let's add an empty game object, and we'll give it an edge collider, and we'll change its layer to pass-through. We'll then move this up to the top of the ladder, and for effect, we'll move another one down here. We'll rename this top step and mid step. Now when we get to the top of the ladder, we'll see we stand as normal and we can walk across the platform. This will work on the second platform as well. But at any time when we're near the ladder, we can press up or down to start climbing. Let's take a look at some of these settings. We'll see in the details here we have a leeway. This is the distance from the center of the ladder. If you're within this distance and you press up or down, you'll start climbing. If you're outside of the distance, you won't. If we use a large value, you'll be able to see this in effect. You'll see how I'm able to climb the ladder even though I'm quite a distance from the ladder. Conversely, a smaller value will make it more difficult to climb the ladder. I need to be lined up very closely to the ladder. You'll see that I can't climb it here, but if I'm right in the center, I still will be able to. The centering rate is simply the speed that the character moves from the starting position to the center of the ladder. It helps your character snap to the ladder, so it's typically a fairly high value. But if you have it too large with a large leeway, you will notice your character jerks strangely. Let's set it back to some more normal values. We also have some dismount options here. This controls how we're able to exit the ladder. Let's turn off all the dismounts. We'll see we get a warning because we won't be able to get off the ladder. You'll notice that now, when I get to the top of the ladder, I'm still climbing. When I press left and right, I can't leave the ladder, and nor does jumping. If we add just, for example, the jump dismount, We won't be able to climb off the top of the ladder, but we will be able to jump. That's really all there is to ladders. The first thing we're going to do is add a rope sprite. There's not one out of the box. So I've got this rope vertical sprite that comes from the great CC0 public domain sprites by Kenny. I'm just going to drop this in the top level folder. And I'm going to change it to a sprite. We're now going to create an empty game object to work as the parent of our rope. And what I'm going to do is just add a sprite renderer and attach this piece of rope to it, and then save this as a prefab. Click our rope and add a rope component to it. Choose the prefab we've just created and drop it into the prefab box. Now we can choose a length for our rope, let's say 3 game units, and let's say it's made up of 3 sections. We can set some other details like the physics details, but for the moment we'll leave them. Let's click Update Now, and we'll see this rope is automatically created. Let's change the layer to the ladders layer, because ropes are also in this layer. And now let's go to the character movement and choose the rope climbing movement. It has similar settings to the ladder climbing movement, but also some more details about the physics of the character, such as what happens when they touch the rope, can they swing, what kind of force do they exert on the rope, and so on and so forth. Let's see what it looks like in the current state. See, we cling the rope and we can climb up and down the rope and swing the rope. We can even launch from it. We can tweak all kinds of settings here. Firstly, it seemed like the rope was a little bit too free swinging. So let's limit the angles and increase the angular drag. You may have noticed that when my character touched the rope, it really started wobbling quite fast. This is called the latch force. Let's find the latch force and decrease it. We'll also increase the down force, which is the weight that the character exerts on the rope. Let's have a look at that. You'll see now that the movement is much more mild. We can include more rope sections, which will give a smoother looking rope. Let's go for 6 and press Update Now. And we'll see our rope looks much smoother. We can still climb up and down it and swing it and launch from it. There's another type of rope which you might be interested in. This is a rope which has a fixed grab position. Let's hit Update Now and see what happens. Now the rope can only be grabbed down the very bottom here. I can no longer climb up and down the rope, but I can still swing it and launch from it. You can go for some really old school rope by setting the segment size to 1 with a fixed grab position. I forgot to press Update Now. Let me do that. Well, see, now we only have one section. The whole rope will swing as one piece, which might be great for retro games.